Okay, HadesOmegaSpec here, just cleaning up the plates. This one I've already done. This one right here. That's why it's nice and shiny. See? So I'm just cleaning it up with the wire brush here on my Dremel tool. Try to get some dirt and grease and rust off of it, so we can get it ready for cleaning. Okay, he's back here. It's next day, and there they are. They're all painted up. So I got all the hardware right here, and that's what it looks like. So I'll just take one of them so you can see it kind of closely. I painted it low gloss black like the other stuff I've been putting on the Suron. My bike is mostly black. It looks like it turned out really good. Really good. I'm really happy with it. This other one, I think there's a little bit of overspray here. I sprayed it like hanging like this, so the extra, if there was any extra paint, it dribbled down this way. But it turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with it. Hopefully it won't scratch too bad. I'm sure it will. I'm positive it's going to get scratched when I install it, but that's just to keep, you know, the corrosion off of it. Alright, so let me go put one together and we can compare. Okay, so there's the final product. So this is one that's fully assembled, and then this is one in pieces. So you got the plate that it sits on. You got the washers and bolts and nuts right here, and then you got your slider right here with the washer inside. And it turned out really good. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So let's go install them, and then I gotta go take the bike for a ride. So I'm gonna actually go take it for a test ride with these on. I don't foresee there being any problems, but we should take it out for a test ride just to see, you know, if there's any kind of, like, you know, if anything will come loose, or if there's any kind of interference, which I don't think there's any interference. Like I said, the two things that you want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with is the chain sprocket and the brake rotor. So, and I don't think we'll have any problems. So, all right, so we'll go install it on the bike. Yeah, you know what? I'll get a full video of me installing it. It's going to be kind of a long video for the second one. It took a lot more work to do this one than the other one. The other one was just it was just an all-thread rod and some nuts and washers. This one, I had to do a little more fabricating for the plates and do quite a bit more measurements. If I had to do it again, I have a template. I can use this old one I could use these as templates. Because making the second one was a lot easier than making the first one, because all I had to do was just line it up, and then I stenciled it, and then I cut whatever, you know. It was a lot easier to make the second one, but yeah. Okay, I got Mr. Caliper out. I left him on again. Anyway, so I can already tell you that this is 1/8 thick steel flat bar stuff, and will aluminum work? You could probably try to use aluminum. I think aluminum would be okay, but I went with steel because I wanted it to be stronger. It's gotta take some, and plus the X fender, this is the part that I based it off of, is made out of steel also. So I think steel is probably the better choice. Suron went with steel for a reason, and you know, I'm gonna stick with what Suron did. So yeah, so I went with 1/8 thick steel. Could you get thinner? No, probably not. This is also about 1/8. So, like I said, this is what I base it off of. So it's 1/8 thick. I use a 1 1/4 inch piece of flat steel to make this. That was 1/8 thick, and it's 28 millimeters tall. So it's actually short. It's a little bit smaller than the 1 1/4 size. So I'll show you now. See, so it's roughly. Well, anyway, yeah, it's about 28 millimeters in height. Let me go get the width or the length. Okay, so I just measured it right now. It's about 78 millimeters long. You could probably make it a little bit longer. I would make it like 80 millimeters. So I would go 28 high, and then 80 millimeters length, and then these are the holes. If you guys want to know how far I drilled the holes from the edges, that's about 11 millimeters from the edge there, centered, and that is about the same too. It's about 10 and 11. So you could drill it anywhere you want, but closer to the edge is better. It's steel. It's pretty strong stuff, so I don't think it's going to crack so easily. Plus, you have a big washer that presses on this, so it won't crack. Trust me. I don't think it will. So all this has got to do is hold this puck up, and when the bike goes down, it has to not fold too much. At least, it's there to. It's designed to slide in place of your frame. This protects your frame. So there you go. So 28 and it's 78, but I would say go 80 because I think this is a little too short. So as you can see here, there's a little bit of a section there that the washer didn't quite get to. The puck doesn't quite sit all on this. So if anything, if I was to do it again, I would probably make it a little bit longer, maybe 2 or 5 millimeters longer, and then move this this hole, like keep the hole where it is, but just extend it. Put more meat on this side, so this has something to rest on. But to compensate for that, I just added another washer, so it has something to press on all around it, so to distribute the forces evenly. Yeah, HadesOmega try to make them bomb-proof. I think they are bomb-proof. So yeah. So like I said, if I was to do this again, I would probably make it a little longer, probably like that long, same height, and just try to keep the hole where it is, obviously, but like extend it so this has something bigger to sit on. It's pretty close to the swing arm. I don't think it will touch the swing arm if the chain is all the way in. I don't think so. We're pretty close. If we are, we can slot it. Yeah, that's another thing you could do. You can slot this hole so you can move the puck around too. Yeah, that's actually sounds pretty cool, because if you were to slot this inward, as you move the chain out, it's going to move this farther out. So if you want to probably keep the chain as close to the center. You want to keep the slider as close to the center of the axle as possible, I guess. And it looks kind of goofy when it's far away like that, And to do that, you can either cut extra holes into this, or you can slot it. If you slotted this, you can adjust this anywhere you want. But so that's another thing I might want to do, but I'm just gonna go with this. This seems it's good enough for Hades. It's HadesOmegaSpec. Okay, so there you go. Those are some kind of like thoughts and notes that HadesOmega is giving on these HadesOmegaSpec sliders. And if you guys want to make your own, those are just some things, some notes I wanted to make. All right, so let's go install them. HadesOmega out. Oh yeah, so another thing you might be wondering is how much do these weigh. So here's the fully assembled version. Fully assembled version weighs 5 ounces. Not that much. So you're going to be adding 2 of these, so that would be like 10 ounces. It's about a pound for both of them. The skateboard wheel with the washer weighs 2 ounces, and just the plate itself weighs 1.4 ounces. Not too much. It does feel kind of heavy though. That's why I was wondering, maybe we should use aluminum. And then the hardware weighs 1.4 ounces also. So the hardware weighs about as much as the plate does itself. So there you go. And once again, like the whole The whole unit weighs about 5 ounces. So that's how much weight it adds to the back of your light bee. I'd imagine the front ones would pretty much counteract the weight for the back, so you're not really throwing your weight balance off much. And guys, if you guys are wondering, the light bee has a 50-50 weight distribution, because I checked myself. Check that video out. That's the one where I weigh the light bee. So yeah. All right, let's go install them. Okay, so I'll probably go over how much I paid for all this stuff at the very end when I'm done making all the sliders. But to make just the rear, like I said, it cost me $10 for the 4-pack of the wheels, the skateboard wheels. So that would be what, like $5 for these two. So it was $5 for these two. The washers I already had, the bolts I already had, but I'd imagine you would probably spend less than $5 for the hardware, for the bolt, the washers, and the nuts, if you buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot. And then the plate, the flat piece of steel, this guy here, I've spent $10 on that. I could have probably spent $6. I could have probably spent $6 for a shorter piece. This is a 4-foot piece. Really, you only need like a foot. So yeah, so it's a foot out of it's a quarter. Let's say we only needed a quarter out of that 4 feet. So that would be a quarter of $10. So $250. Yeah, $250. So we used $250 worth of bar steel right there. So it's $250, and let's say the hardware was $250. So I'm probably in the hole like $750, or yes, about $750, about $8. Let's just say with tax it's about $10. I spent $10 on this whole setup. That's pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. And yeah, so if you ever scratch these or whatever, if you ever go down and you want to replace them, they're real cheap to replace. And all you'd have to do is press the washer out with the socket like I showed you, and then just replace it. And you could put different colors, whatever. You can do anything you want with it. The sky's the limit. So yeah. So I would say it costs about $10 to make, plus the labor, I guess. Hades Omega's labor of love here. So there you go. You can craft yourself some rear Supermoto sliders for your Sauron for about $10. Obviously this guy didn't cost me $10 though, so I had to buy the whole thing. But I can probably make like probably make like 10 sets of sliders out of this one thing. Maybe I will and just sell them on eBay or something. Who knows? But then I would have to take this out again. All right. Okay, HadesOmega here. I'm going to show you how I install the HadesOmegaSpec rear Supermoto sliders, since both of them are done. I know you guys kind of saw how I did it earlier, but I'm going to go through it in like real time. So, I've already loosened the axle. Let me get this bike out here. Okay, so let's just do this outside the garage. Okay, so I've already loosened the axle right here. So I've already loosened it, but it's a 17 millimeter. You just take the axle nut out. Okay. And you take the, it helps if you pull back on the wheel and then pull the adjuster block out, so it detensions it. And then let's go to the other side. Okay, so one thing you want to do before you start taking everything apart also is make sure these adjustment bolts, the bolts for your adjuster here, are tight. Mine were loose, so they're kind of moving around. That's okay if they're loose when the axle's tight, but if that moves around at all, you're gonna lose your chain tension adjustment, and then you're gonna have to retension your chain again. Just a little warning. So I made sure they're tight so they don't move anymore. So we know exactly how far to push the axle back. Okay, so now we have the nut off. Now it's time to take the wheel off, or well, try not to take the wheel off. Try to keep it hanging on there. So I'm going to push on the other side, axle should come out. It helps to pull back a little bit. Go ahead and pull the axle out, and then kind of like try to hang the wheel off of the swing arm like that. Basically all I did is canted it so it doesn't fall off the bike. And go ahead and get one of your pucks, your slider dealies. So it's going to be behind. It's going to be behind this guy, the adjustment block. So go ahead and put that back there. Okay, and go ahead and put the axle back in. It's not hard at all. Just make sure everything all lines up. I'm scratching the crap out of my swing arm here. So. Okay, pull the wheel back so everything lines up. Okay. Alright, so let's go to the other side. So we're on the other side. We take our other puck here, and we're going to put this in first. Okay, and then you're going to want to put your adjustment block over it, like a big washer. And if it doesn't fit, obviously you got to pull the wheel back to put tension on this chain. There you go. Okay, and then we'll put your locking nut back in. Okay, and then make sure you got the proper chain slack adjustment. Push forward on the wheel. Actually, the axle is not in all the way. I just realized that. Okay. Okay, so just make sure it's pushed forward. The blocks are pressing against the adjustment bolts, and then I'm gonna just gun on the nut real quick. Push while pushing forward. Okay. Now notice I didn't say I was going to torque it with that. Okay, I got my torque wrench. It's set for about 40 foot-pounds. The spec is 41 to 44 foot-pounds. You want to get your 6mm dealie here. And I was going to try to tighten the puck. And then use this to hold the other side so it doesn't spin. Just have at it. Okay. 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 It's about 40 right there. Try to use the same torque wrench all the time, and then what you're going to want to do is check your chain tension to make sure it's right. I think it looks good. I'll double check it later. But yeah, there it is. Okay, there it is. I just installed the sliders. That's exactly how I thought it would be. So it turned out exactly how I wanted it. So that's good. Just make sure everything is on there properly again. These adjustment blocks are going to stick out, but that's not a big deal. It's still doing its job. All it's got to do is it's got to press against these. That's all, and it acts like a big washer, sort of. So they do stick out more. Your axle, and so remember, I'm using the Suron X fender, the rear hugger type fender. I'm using the axle from that, so that's why I still have a couple millimeters left. Now if you were to use this, I did show last night that you could use or the last clip I showed in the last clip that you could use the stock axle to do this, but because you're adding a 1/4 inch, yeah, 1/8 plus 1/8 is a 1/4 inch, right? You're adding a 1/4 inch of extra meat to it, so we found out that it does work, but there won't be any thread exposed at the end of this, so your locking nut probably wouldn't be doing its job. In that case, I would drill a hole through the axle and nut, and I would put a cotter pin or a safety wire, something, to keep that axle from backing out. I've had problems with this nut backing out before, so always torque this. And yeah, so I'm not really sure, but like I said, the best thing to do is to go buy the Suron X fender and to get the longer axle for 25 bucks, or you can email Luna Cycle and maybe they might be able to get you the longer axle if you wanted to do this project here. So I don't know that they do not sell longer axle. They don't even sell a rear axle on the website, unfortunately. They do sell a front axle for your RST forks, but they don't sell a rear axle. So maybe they will in the future. But like I said, I asked them if there's any kind of weird parts that you wanted to get. Just email them, just send them a message or call them and ask if they have something like that they could sell you. So I'm sure they'll be. Oh man, yeah, I'm sure they would love to sell you some parts. So yeah, so there it is. So the plate just sits in the channel behind the adjuster block, and then your puck is bolted to it, and it does not interfere with anything. It seems fine. It's not. I can even fire it up and. So it doesn't interfere with it at all. So I'm really happy. And as you can see, it sticks out. It sticks out as much as your foot peg. Basically, it's probably actually not really. It's not really. It's actually behind where the foot peg mount is. So the one thing that sticks out the most on your bike is going to be the foot peg and your handlebars, pretty much. And then it will be handlebars. Foot peg, and then the rear axle. Even the foot is compared to the front. The front actually is sticking out a lot because I had to add a spacer to it. So I'm going to line up the handlebar. Kind of look. Yeah. It's pretty much in line with the front axle. So how far it sticks out. So this will definitely do the job of keeping your swing arm from contacting the ground. So the purpose of having these sliders is so when you go down on the track, your bike will slide on these, and it won't slide on your frame. And hopefully your bike won't cartwheel or anything, or yard sail itself when you go down. It'll slide. This guy, the side stand, will probably slide on the ground too. But all the parts on the Suron are aluminum. They're really soft, so I don't think they would do much damage to the surface of the track. You know, that's another reason to have these sliders. They don't want you damaging the track with your bike sliding on it. So even though, like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna scratch the track pretty good if your handguards went down on the track. So there we go. That's the HadesOmegaSpec rear Supermoto slider final video. So what's next is now the foot peg sliders. So we gotta make those next. I don't know if we're gonna make it on time for a track day, but yeah. So we got our front ones and we got our rear ones, and then we have our hand guards. So it'll slide on this, that, and the foot peg if it goes down. And I honestly don't even think we need ones for the foot pegs, man. The foot pegs, they swivel up, so why would you need it? Yeah. I suppose if it was to slide the other opposite direction, if it was to slide upwards, which I don't think is very likely to happen, because it may like just stick out, so it might not fold up. It'll just stay out. So. All right. Thanks for watching. HadesOmega out.